Ai, ah,
Distribute.
Yeah, bro. Come on.
Yo, these
Come on.
pinwheels,
Kidding me?
you're gonna
Like,
fucking
it's only
thank
right,
me
bro.
when
Only right.
you get one.
So we're
I'm
gonna
stalled.
Like, but they're
I can't wait
perfect,
for
bro.
this.
only right. Listen, breakfast of champions.
was it Henry or Belly? Might have been Henry. Yeah, it was Henry. I felt dumb.
America, hear me when I say this. Some of y'all out there living dangerously. Some of y'all are simply working too hard.
Newly released footage shows the events leading up to the deadly stabbing of Henry Novak, in which English police handcuffed the dying teen after his Sikh attacker falsely accused the white victim of racism. The disturbing killing has resulted in explosive protests and widespread debate about anti-white racism from police. Here are the moments that unfolded before Henry Novak's tragic death. Newly released footage shows Novak, an 18-year-old college student, taking an elevator in his dorm as he goes for a night out in the town of Southampton on December 3rd, 2025. He was later captured on CCTV footage walking into a convenience store where he bought a drink before heading to a pub with friends. After leaving the pub, Novak can be seen heading home on foot, before he stumbled into Vikram Digwa, the man who would eventually kill him. Digwa, who is Sikh, was carrying a knife in a sheath on his belt. Practicing Sikhs are legally allowed to carry a small curved blade known as a kirpan close to their body under current British law. Digwa did have a kirpan under his clothing, but the knife he used to murder Novak was much bigger and worn in a sheath over his clothes.
Yeah,
"I am a bad man," Digwa replied before snatching the device from Henry's hands.
I am a bad man. What a
Ensued, Digwa
bitch.
unsheathed the larger knife and stabbed the defenseless student 5 times, including in the chest. According to the judge, the phone footage showed Novak desperately trying to get away as the attacker continued to record video of Henry suffering. Soon after, the killer's brother, Gurpreet Digwa, called the authorities while at the scene.
Sorry, we just got attacked racially by some white person.
Have any weapons been involved?
Shit makes me
No,
so
no, no.
sick, man.
When police arrived, Digwa can be heard lying to cops, saying that he had been racially abused by Novak. Police then ignored the teen's pleading calls for help.
My brother, he took my turban off, started grabbing my head.
Are you injured?
Yeah, I've got swollen eye, a little bruise.
Alright, just step back a little bit for me.
Right, let's get you out of there, shall we?
What's happened to you, alright?
Stabbed.
You've been stabbed? Whereabouts? Don't think you have, mate.
Shortly after Henry was put in cuffs, an ambulance arrived, but the damage was too severe.
Oh, well,
Henry
then
died shortly thereafter. Less than a week later, Vikram Digwa was charged with murder. The killing and the trial that followed led to mass protests, with far-right activists and politicians claiming that there is a bias against white people in the justice system. The unrest eventually transitioned into riots in Southampton, with chairs, trash cans, flares, and rocks thrown in.
It's summertime, and I hope that we're all going to enjoy a little bit of sunshine this year. Maybe get to go away this year. And if you are, listen up, because there is something that you should not step foot on that plane without. Saily is the eSIM that keeps you connected, keeps you online, wherever the hell you want to go this summer for just the price of a coffee. This, my friends, is what we like to call a no-brainer. Saily have over 200 destinations covered, so wherever you are in the world, pretty much. And what that means is when you connect to Saily, there's not the, oh, I've disconnected from the hotel Wi-Fi, now I've got to find the restaurant Wi-Fi when we arrive there. No, you're connected all the time when you're there, and the connection is better than the hotel Wi-Fi when I've used it. It works on iOS and Android. You buy your plan using my link, you choose your time frame and the amount of data you're going to need. Install the eSIM on your phone, which is really easy, by the way. Land at your destination and your plan will be activated immediately. So if you want to guarantee that you stay connected on your trip away and you don't have to worry about any of that nonsense, get Saily. And you'll get an exclusive 15% discount off your first purchase when you use my link in the description below. Just click the link, go to saily.com/Geordie and get your 15% discount.
The freight market moves fast. Is your network keeping up? If you're relying on old data or backward-looking benchmarks, you're navigating with an outdated map. That's where CapacID comes in. It's not just a benchmarking tool. It's a productivity platform offering line haul rate benchmarking, carrier search, and actionable recommendations, all designed to strengthen your freight strategy. CapacID leverages real-time shipper-transacted rates, giving you a true market view to pinpoint exactly where you can gain a competitive edge. From there, the platform provides a comprehensive carrier vetting process. It goes beyond finding any carrier to finding the right carrier for each lane. With dynamic data from everything on ownership status to safety and compliance, you can make informed decisions all in one place before entering a contract with the carrier. This load-level view of your network allows CapacID to deliver strategic, network-specific recommendations that create immediate value. Stop chasing data. Start driving decisions. Optimize your transportation network with the actionable intelligence of CapacID.
Paxton at the Olympics, Brendan at the World Cup. It all could have stopped after that. I'm the proudest father there ever is. I'm Rusty Aronson, father of 3 amazing children. So this place is our basement, our finished basement now. Well, this place was not like it is now. That was our soccer field. We worked on turns, we worked on first touch, we worked on their passing. It all happened here.
I've been doing this job a while now, and as you can imagine, things don't really shock me anymore. Well, today I'm shocked, because last night I watched a body cam video of police officers arriving at the scene of a crime. They found a teenage boy laying on the floor, dying. He's barely conscious, he's bleeding heavily. A witness tells the police as they arrive, this kid's bleeding. The boy himself manages to struggle to get the words out. He tells the police, I've been stabbed 4 times. He tells the police, I can't breathe 9 times. And their response was to put handcuffs on him as he bled to death face down in the gravel. And I guess the reason they thought that this was the right thing to do was because the man who killed him, who was stood very close by without a single scratch on him, claimed that the young boy was racist. This should be a wake the fuck up moment for this entire country. I was watching this video and I literally had my hand over my mouth like, what the fuck am I seeing here? And we're going to play the video later in this video today. So brace yourselves. But also, for context, I'm going to tell you what was read out in court and what actually led up to this moment where the police arrived. Because only then can you understand the brutality that this young kid was put through in the final moments leading up to his death. Now, this is Henry Novak. He was 18 years old. He was at university in his first year of uni. He was walking home from a night out with his mates in Southampton on December 3rd last year. He was well under the drink drive limit. He wasn't drunk, but he was in good spirits and he was filming some Snapchats, having a bit of a laugh on Snapchat. The Snapchat show he was lighthearted and in a good mood. Now, along this walk, he encountered this guy, 23-year-old Vikram Digwa. Vikram claimed at the time of their encounter that Henry barged into him and he was drunk. We now know that that was a lie. Now, some of the interaction between these two was actually caught on Snapchat. There was a bit of young lad bravado that they're talking to each other like, oh, you think you're a bad man, do you? I don't know who said what to who first. What we do know is Digwa walked over to Henry and said, I am a bad man, and grabbed his phone off of him. At this point, he inflicted 3 stab wounds to Henry. He slashed his jaw, he stabbed him in the lower body, and then he plunged his knife into the chest of Henry, puncturing his lung and severing a main vein, which caused massive trauma, huge bleeding. Vikram Digwa then started recording Henry with his phone. That footage, which we don't have, unfortunately, that footage shows Henry trying to escape. He's climbing over bins. He's running for his life, literally here. There's a trail of blood as he's running away. And Vikram can be heard saying, you're not going to get away with this, big man, as he's chasing him down. He then stabs him twice more in the back of the legs as Henry is running away. He later said he didn't mean to stab him in the chest and it was self-defense. This was the 8-inch knife he used to kill Henry. Apparently, this is some sort of religious knife. I didn't even know this shit existed, to be honest with you. It sounds mental to me that anyone can walk the streets with a knife like that on and claim it's in the name of religion. I think this is insane, especially in this day and age when knife crime is through the roof. No one should be allowed to carry knives like this. I don't give a fuck what the reason is. And you can see the blood of Henry still on the knife there. Vikram might not have known he was going to meet Henry that knife, but he knew at some point he was going to use that knife because it took nothing for him to kill this boy in cold blood. Little bit of back and forth bravado on the street, and he took his life for nothing. Now, at this point, Henry is on the floor, bleeding to death, begging Vikram, his murderer, he's begging him, please help me. As Digwa is taking videos and photos of him as he suffers, mocking him, taking close-up photos of the injuries he's inflicted on him. Henry can be heard, I think, on security camera saying, I'm dying. To which Vikram replies, you're not dying, bro. Henry says, you stabbed me. No, I didn't. He's gaslighting him, basically, in his final moments. Now, Vikram, instead of calling an ambulance, decides, I'm going to call my family and try and get them to help me out of this shit. Such a big man, clearly. Got to call mummy to find out what I should do now. What's mad is one of the neighbors, hearing commotion going on, actually rang the police at this point and said, I think someone's being stabbed, and no one reacted. The police did nothing. As Vikram Digwa is outside recording this kid, the family of Vikram arrive on the scene. His mother takes the murder weapon and runs off home to hide it. It was later found amongst a collection of other weapons Vikram apparently had. Lovely family. Vikram and his brother then concoct a plan to call the police and pretend that they've been racially abused by Henry, who's still lying on the floor bleeding to death.
Yeah, we just been attacked by someone racially. Yeah, this
Right.
he just attacked it, took his stuff. Sorry? Huh? Sorry, we just got attacked racially by some white person.
Right, okay. Whereabouts are you?
We're on Belmont Road.
Just out in the street, are you?
Sorry?
You're just in the street?
Yeah, literally. I just parked up my car to come home and he attacked my brother.
So Vikram's brother made that call and the judge has confirmed that this was all a lie. There was no racial abuse. There was nothing. And we'll get into why a little bit later they knew to make this kind of call and how it would influence the police. We'll get into that. But while waiting for the cops to show up, Vikram Digwa and his family actively prevented Henry Novak from receiving any medical help. They wasted what little time could have been used to save his life in restraining him and telling him he was racist. Vikram continued denying he'd stabbed him, saying, "You're drunk, bro." Even Vikram Digwa's father said, "You're pretending to be hurt. You're not hurt." All gathered around him as this kid's lying on the floor dying. As the police were arriving, Vikram Digwa's father had been propping Henry up against the wall, presumably to make it look like he was in a better state than he actually was, because he couldn't support his own body, you see, because he was dying. He explains to the police, "I was just keeping him up because he kept flopping over," which begs the question why the police didn't consider, why does he keep flopping over? Maybe he's fucking injured. Now we're going to watch the body cam and show you what they did when they arrived.
My dad's He keeps dropping side to side, so I'm just trying to keep us set up.
Alright.
He's got a lot of blood. I don't want him. He was on the bin on the other side of this gate. And he's jumped over these fences and stuff like that. Oh, yeah. And he's up here.
Away, mate.
He's obviously fallen from there and he slipped from there. There's other shooters left over there, mate.
What's your name, mate? Huh? Has anyone been hurt other than him?
Yeah, me.
He's grabbed my brother. He's taken my turban. So grabbing my head.
Are you injured?
Yeah, I've got swollen eye, a little bit.
Nothing wrong with him. The whole turban off the head, all a lie. The whole thing was a lie. Not a mark on him.
Alright, just step back a little bit for me. Someone flag these down.
They even made out before, like, these injuries were because he was hopping over fences and that's what caused them.
I'll be stabbed.
Right, let's get you out of there, shall we?
I was in bed, asleep.
Someone's being stabbed and you just start dragging him along the gravel. Fucking hell, man.
Grab his other arm.
And by the way, we've heard multiple times already, I'm being stabbed, I can't breathe. No fucks given. Call ambulance, he says there.
What's happened to you, alright?
Been stabbed.
You've been stabbed? Whereabouts? I don't think you have, mate.
Look at them, immediately arresting him. There's no fucking guilt being proven here. There's not. What are we saying here? Why are you arresting him? What has he fucking done, like? But on the say-so of this guy, he's racist, and the fact that there's blood there, you can see it on the fucking floor. But on the say-so of this guy, that's it, he's guilty. Let's not worry about the stab wounds and if he's even got any, or if he's bleeding to death. Who cares? Because he said, you were racist. That's enough for me. Look at how white his hands are. Look at how white his hands are. God knows how much blood he was losing.
Put the hand in the cuff, mate.
This is like times this has happened, bro. You've been walking, nothing happened.
These guys in the background saying he was racist, nothing happened. Fuck me. This is absolutely unbelievable.
He's saying he's been stabbed.
Where is it you think he's been stabbed? In the face? Oh no, but we have to check, don't we? In the face?
Just get these back off, get their details and that, and I'll keep hold of them. Right, keep you on your side, mate. You got a retrieve then. I'm saying to him, I'm keeping him on his side. We were set up when we had him here, but he didn't like it. What's your name, mate? At the moment, you are under arrest. That's for assault. So you do not have to say anything, may harm and defence. If you do not mention one question, so to you later line of court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence, all right?
He can't even respond because he's dying and they're reading him his rights based on what? The say-so of this guy who's just fucking murdered him. And he has the cheek to tell this boy who's bleeding to death, I don't think you have been stabbed. Fucking unbelievable, like. Just give up with the whole country now. Just give up, man. Give up. This fucking country is totally fucked.
Dick, I think.
You doing referee?
What's his name?
I just want you to call it.
He's out of it. He's done. He's finished. He's done. And that's how he died, by being read his rights and being told he wasn't stabbed. And the people around them saying, you weren't stabbed. Nothing wrong with you. You were racist. And the final thing he died believing was that these police officers thought he was racist. And a cop saying to him, I don't think you have been stabbed. I don't believe you. You're a liar. They didn't even check him. They didn't even care. They just immediately believed this guy's story, who'd actually killed him, and we don't even need to work out what's going on here. Let's just get him in the van. He's guilty. Now let's have a quick listen to what the head of the police had to say as to why his officers behaved the way they did.
And he called the police, not the ambulance service. He lied on that call. He lied when police attended the scene. He continued to lie as Henry's condition deteriorated.
Simple as that then. He just lied. I mean, you can't expect the police to be able to figure out truth from a lie. Do you know what I mean? What do you think they are? Police. Even the media are saying the killer duped police into arresting his victim. Oh, they were just duped. So a boy's lying on the floor, bleeding to death. He's telling the officers, I've been stabbed multiple times. I can't breathe multiple times. Please get me an ambulance. Even a witness says, as you're approaching, he's bleeding. And the killer is standing over him with no injuries whatsoever, not a scratch on him. And all it took for years of police training, which supposedly they have, basic common sense even, and all of the data that your eyes and ears should be registering right now, the alarm bell should be going off in your fucking head here of who was really the victim. And all it took for all of that to be completely ignored and for you to be incapable of telling what's going on here and be completely duped was for that guy to say he was racist.
Solid.
One word. And every possible piece of information that you were being met with was completely ignored. All right, let's just say that that's even believable for 1 second and that's acceptable for 1 second, because it isn't. You were duped. You were stupid. You were conned by this killer. Why did you tell the young boy when he said, I've been stabbed, that he was a liar? Why did you accuse him of being a liar? You weren't duped into that, were you? You immediately believed that this young white man was the guilty party when every single possible sign was screaming at you, telling you he was really the victim. You didn't even check. You didn't even, they didn't even go through anything to figure out what was going on. They just immediately slapped the fucking cuffs on, didn't give two shits about him. Yeah, this guy's guilty. That's good enough for me. He says he's guilty. He must be guilty. Let's all go home, eh? Case closed. You fucking pricks. The standards of modern policing, for them to have the cheek to say, he lied to us. Well, wow. Imagine that, eh? People lied to the police. What will fucking happen next? What do you expect from us? We couldn't have known he was lying. Yeah, the guy's lying, bleeding to death on the floor, but what do you expect from him? Hey, we were beaten by the best, weren't we, lads? They're on their way home, driving home. I tell you what, this one, he's a real cod, isn't he? That one allegation of racism was enough for these idiots to treat that young boy who was clearly dying right in front of their eyes. These are trained police officers who do this every day. We can all say it, and we don't do this for a job. They do this every fucking day, and they still couldn't see it. That one allegation was enough for them to treat this young, dying, innocent boy as a fucking guilty party. They're fucking idiots. And if this is all it takes to treat a dying boy like a criminal, we have major problems in this country. Fucking major. It's so ironic because I looked into Hampshire police. Wouldn't you know it, they spent £860,000 on an equality and inclusion program. Another one of them lot. Yeah, they run a mandatory program called Inclusion Matters. They've got a race action plan, whatever the fuck that is. They've got positive action recruitment, which is about boosting numbers of ethnic minorities within their ranks. And they even work closely with the University of Reading on bias and inclusion training. It's literally ringing off alarm bells in my head when we talked about the Southport murders. And the teacher went to the council workers and said, look, this guy's a psychopath. Like, we got to keep an eye on this guy. And the council workers, who were full of this DEI inclusion training and all that shit, accused her of being racist, because that's what this shit does to people, man. It fucks with their head. And people are now so scared of being called racist that they've become completely incapable of treating everyone equally, which, might I remind people, is what we're supposed to fucking be doing here. You don't combat racism with a different form of prejudice. It's insane, this. And that's what this was, prejudice. These police arrived on the scene with a preformed opinion that the white lad was the far-right racist and the Asian lad was the victim. That was ingrained in their mind. And yes, that might have been suggested to them, but people can suggest whatever they want to cops. They should have the brains and the experience to be able to detect, all right, maybe when you see the situation that they found, maybe this ain't true. How could they not see what was right in front of them, what was so clear as day in that video, because of the level of brainwashing that these people have been subjected to? That's when you're fully brainwashed, when even when things are right in front of your eyes, you don't say what you're saying. And it's rendered them incapable of doing their fucking job, ironically. And people think, well, how can that happen? You know, like it is, because when we're saying what we're saying, it's like, how can you actually think like this. When you're going through all these courses and this level of brainwashing, and then you've got the likes of Keir Starmer, Sadiq Khan pushing the far-right narrative every fucking week, telling us all that normal white blokes are now all racist. Insane, this stuff. The media backing them up on it, pushing the narrative the whole time. They're being bombarded with this shit, these cops. And this is the long-term impact. I've spoken a lot recently about this racism word that's become such a tool of control, not just to silence people, from speaking out about if they feel like immigration's gone too far or if political issues like that. It's now gotten to a point where police are letting a young teenage boy die in the street over it because they don't want to be seen as racist. So they got to believe this guy. And let's not kid ourselves. This isn't the first time that we've seen this as a major issue. Thousands of girls in the UK were raped repeatedly by grooming gangs. The police knew it was going on. They knew fine well. They did nothing. All because they were scared to appear like they were singling out one group and being racist. And this is the thing about this case that really brings it home to me is the bad guys in this instance knew that that was a weakness that they could exploit here. That 999 call, it worked perfectly for them. It immediately put the police in a position where they were going to believe these guys straight away because the power of racism and that this word that's now so dominant in society, it would immediately force the police to be on their side. That one little phone call meant that those police showed up thinking immediately, this boy who's bleeding to death after being stabbed all over is guilty until proven innocent, which is not what the police are supposed to do, as far as I was fucking told from being a kid, but that's how they've been reprogrammed. And the criminals know that two-tier policing will enable them to pull shit like this. And it worked. And no one is more guilty of creating this culture in this country than the likes of Keir Starmer, Sadiq Khan, and the media. They are part of the reason why a normal, innocent, young white lad bled to death being handcuffed like a fucking criminal. And now the father of Henry Novak has actually spoken outside of court after sentencing about how differently his son was treated from the actual killer.
The police have said they were misled by the murderer and that the scene when they arrived was complex. Unfortunately, it seems to us that truth is much simpler. The police were told by our son himself and by a member of the public who called 999 that they heard someone shout that they had been stabbed. But the police did not believe them. Henry was pulled across the gravel, his hands forced behind his back, and he was placed in handcuffs. Instead of being treated as a dying victim, police formally arrested Henry for assault and read him his rights. That was the last thing he heard. Henry did not die with dignity. He did not die with the care he deserved. He lost consciousness before anyone believed him. Let me be absolutely clear. We hold Vikram Digwa solely and 100% responsible for the brutal murder of our son. But Henry should not have died on the streets of Southampton in police custody. The way he was treated was inhumane and degrading. His murder, however, was afforded decency. He was believed. He was not handcuffed when arrested. He was not handcuffed when transported to the police station. As far as we understand, he was never handcuffed at all. And as Vikram Digwa himself told the court, whilst under arrest for Henry's murder, police even took him to the kitchen so he could choose his food. The contrast is unbearable.
How can anyone listen to that father articulate the difference in the way his son was treated as he was dying to the way his murderer was treated and not say, there's a fucking massive problem here. Like, racism happens in all forms. There's no such thing as good racism and bad racism. There's just racism. Everyone should be treated equally. And this is not what is happening here. Like, and there was a clear prejudice in the way they approached this. That they just arrested him immediately and didn't even check him over. And he's saying, I've been stabbed. They didn't even care. They just took this killer's word for it because of his skin color, essentially. This is fucking insane, this like. And I have to give massive credit to the way that man spoke. The whole clip is much longer. He was a credit to his son. And you can see he was a really good dad. And I read things about how, like, on his birthday, his first birthday that he missed with his son not being there, he slept in his son's bedroom. He slept in his son's bedroom, I think, on Christmas Day. Just heartbreaking. Because this was a boy who was loved by his family. absolutely adored. And one of the words his dad used in the account of him, he said he was very inclusive. And I thought, how poignant is that? Because what they said he was guilty of, he was the exact opposite, according to all accounts about him. Now, one of the things that happened during sentencing, apparently, was someone in the Vikram Digwa family, wearing a turban allegedly, was shouting out towards the family of Henry Novak, racists, still perpetuating the lie confirmed by the judge to try and somehow justify the brutal murder of this young boy. The fact that they're doing that, the fact that they, the dad was propping him up, trying to make out like he was fine while telling him he hadn't been stabbed, the fact that the mother hid the murder weapon, the fact that the brother lied on the phone call claiming that this was a racial attack, this lot of scum for me.
It
wasn't okay anymore to not be able to watch the game. I decided to do something about it. My name is Jen Barnes, and I'm the CEO and founder of Rough and Tumble, the first place in the world built to play women's and men's sports equally. Seattle is the absolute capital of women's sports. This is a home for not just the women's sports fan, but all sports fans. Sports create community. Places like Rough and Tumble help build belonging.
Oh, my son.
Absolute scum. And apparently Vikram Digwa himself during sentencing was behaving like someone who was bored, who couldn't be bothered with this. He was sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum of 20 years and 190 days. So he could be out by the time he is 43 years old. He could live another 43 years at that point. Life should mean life. And honestly, this is why they should bring back the death penalty, in my opinion, because people don't take this shit seriously. As for the cops, I think we should release all the footage. They've clearly cut the footage off right at the end as they start realizing, oh, fuck, we fucked up, he's dying. They've cut that bit off. We should see that. I bet that's worse than what they've released. I want to see CCTV footage released. I want to see all of their mistakes. What about the footage that Vikram Digwa himself recorded? We should have that as well. We should realize the true brutality of this situation, because this should be a fucking mark in the road for this country. We cannot continue to treat people differently, no matter which way it is, based on their skin color. And that's what happened here. And the cops involved should be prosecuted. That guy who says, I don't think you have, mate, he behaved so appallingly as this young lad was dying in front of him, drowning in his own blood, face down in the gravel, as this cop handcuffed his lifeless body. That cop should go to jail for that. And look, Keir Starmer tried to wait as long as humanly possible before acknowledging this. And when he did, he completely depoliticized it in his bullshit tweet. He was too busy tweeting about Arsenal winning the fucking league all week to give a fuck. This should be a moment where we realize that the rhetoric, a funny word to use considering the left, you love to use it, the rhetoric of Sadiq Khan, of Keir Starmer, should be treated with the contempt it deserves, because their brainwashing and the media's brainwashing has led to moments like this now, where normal, ordinary, innocent, more importantly, white lads are treated as far-right thugs. And we as a country need to be more intelligent and not be manipulated by this one word that's thrown about so casually with no fucking proof that anyone actually is racist. It's just fired out because it's such an easy way to control people. And it's done such a good job that professional police officers now can't say what's right in fucking front of them. It's a dark day in the UK. I've got nothing else to say about this. It's fucking depressing. Hopefully you appreciate the coverage. I've tried to put everything I can into this and tell this lad's story as best as I can. My heart goes out to his family. The class that they conducted themselves with, they've done him proud and they're a credit to him. I'm just so sorry that this happened. Stay subscribed to the True Geordie YouTube channel. I'll see you on the next one.
Well, folks, we thought this might happen. We thought we might be talking about some big news coming from UFC land. We knew that big news would not be coming from anything that came from UFC Vegas 117, well, it wasn't a horrible card. It just was kind of forgettable with everything else going on with the MVP card sort of stealing all the headlines. You're wondering if we're going to get the Conor McGregor return announcement. Would this be sort of an A-Rod, right when about the A-Rod opting out of his Yankees contract right before the Boston Red Sox beat the Colorado Rockies in the World Series? And while it's not exactly the same as that, people thought, oh, maybe they'll do it right before Ronda Rousey fights. No, they did it right before Francis Ngannou fought. Dana White jumps on Instagram Live and makes it official. Conor McGregor is back. The world's worst kept secret fight we've been talking about for almost 2 months now, but it is now officially official, at least according to UFC language. It is Conor McGregor versus Max Holloway 2, July 11th. UFC 329 International Fight Week, T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. It is a done deal. And yeah, let's get into it because we just watched Mike Perry beat the ever-loving holy hell out of one Nathan Diaz, got the second round finish, and apparently he's calling out Jake Paul right now. But before we get to Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano, we wanted to come on here and react to this. I am Mike Heck, and joining me to react to this, the man who joined me on UFC duty tonight. Everyone wanted the MVP duty, but only 2 souls were brave enough to travel virtually to the world's most famous Apex, and it was the 2 of us. Jed Bashu, how are you, my friend?
First off, I actually quite enjoyed the UFC main card. The prelims were... They were like, there was actually some kind of fun stuff there. We had a world's first. We'll talk about that maybe in our post show. We'll see. But like, I had fun. And it really has worked out well because I straight up think pointedly MVP has kind of cross-stitched them. We're like, we're not going to have these fights. So you've just gotten to kind of build your own fight card, which has been quite nice. But I did want to defend that I've had fun at the UFC thing. But Mike, you know that my deepest regret in life, Mike, is that I didn't have the chutzpah to stand by my belief that Sean Strickland was going to upset Israel Adesanya. That is, of all the regrets I have, that's probably number 1 in my life. Number 2 is that when we did BTL earlier this week, or perhaps it was a preview show, I think it was the preview show actually, not BTL, we talked about this Conor McGregor announcement and would it happen on Saturdays. We all knew this fight was coming. This was not a secret. It has been an open secret for months at this point. Would it come? And I was like, that kind of makes sense. And then you were like, no, it would not. Dana still likes and respects Ronda Rousey. And I was like, that's right. Maybe you're right, Mike. And I didn't think the other appropriate thought, which was he does, but he fucking hates Francis Ngannou. So I bet he drops it during that fight. And that's exactly what happened. He was not counter-programming MVP MMA. He was doing that to spite Big Fran. And I can't believe I didn't immediately think of it. And the moment, the millisecond that Damon Martin dropped in our work Slack was like, Dana's going live on IG. He's about to announce it. I was like, of course he is. It's about to be the Francis walkout. Of course he is. We're such idiots. My second biggest regret in life, Mike.
I get that. I actually didn't think about that either, because if they're going to be like, we're going to counter program all of this, it wouldn't have been for the Ngannou fight. That wouldn't have been the strategic move. This is an absolute just F you to Francis. That's what it was.
Because they don't have to have strategy, right? We talked about this a little bit back in the day. They used to counter program events with they brought Anderson Silva on a short notice fight to counter program Affliction. You're not counter programming jack shit with Melky Costa Arnold Allen, but you can give a pointed FU to the one person you actually don't like involved in this thing. And he sure did that.
Yep. That's what they did more than anything. And sure, they grabbed some headlines. Someone asked earlier, it's do you feel like this takes all the headlines from MVP? And I'm like, no, not at all. MVP is the story of the night. Everything that I'm seeing as far as numbers say that it's just a washout. MVP's just clobbered everything. But now, at least with this announcement, the UFC is at least in the conversation. If there's a top 8 things going on in combat sports, The UFC's now in it. They weren't in it with UFC Vegas 117. They're in it now with this announcement. So we probably should have expected the timing on this, but look, they did it. They did it, Jed. They announced it. We'll get into some of the other fights that were announced as well. Obviously, we'll talk about the events and everything that's going on our post show. We're going to be here until Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano start walking to the damn cage. But now that
could be an hour.
It could be. The way that the pacing has been.
I don't think so, but it could be. I think the pacing has been very pointedly to not overlap with UFC fights, because otherwise it's incredibly convenient that there has been no overlapping action functionally. And so now that the UFC card's done, I suspect we'll get a move on once people are out of the ring here.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to be true, but we'll see. I hope you're right. I totally hope you're right. I hope we're like going right to the promo and right to the walkouts. But okay, now it is official, Jed. It is Conor McGregor versus Max Holloway. They're already jawing back and forth on social media. This is the thing. This is UFC 329. This is our main
event. Whole fight card.
Almost all of it. I think they announced 9, 10, 11 fights, something like that.
I see 11 fights announced, which is, if it's not the whole fight card, it's functionally the whole fight card.
It's most of it. Yeah.
If they didn't add any fights, no one would be like, that's a light fight card.
Yeah. Because if like Josh Hokett wins at the White House quickly, they'll probably throw him right back in there.
That would be a really quick turnaround, but maybe.
McGregor Holloway. It's set, the rematch from 13 years ago in beautiful, scenic Boston, Massachusetts. 13 years later, here we are. Reaction. Not that you're surprised by this, but are you in the boat of, okay, it's cool to see a poster, but until I see two men locked in a cage and one of them's Conor McGregor, I ain't buying what they're selling just yet?
No, I'm not saying this is 100% going to happen. I am at the stage where I'll actually be quite surprised if this one doesn't happen. I thought once the other one got announced for 303, I was like, okay. And then it felt weird to me that Conor withdrew, and then a whole bunch of other stuff happened, and whatever. And then he just took a long time off, and he was like, oh, I want to fight at the White House. And then they were like, you're not going to fight at the White House. And so it's been a long and circuitous road to get here. But I said this 5 years ago when he fought Dustin Poirier, and I was just early, I think. I maintain the same stance I've had forever, which is either Conor is not going to fight again or he's going to fight to get out of his contract. Conor McGregor can't make that much money in the UFC anymore. I mean, you make a lot of money. You make more money than anybody else in the UFC is making. But there is $500 million waiting for him outside the confines of the UFC. And so if he is ultimately going to just be like, I'm rich enough, I don't need more money, I will never fight again, that's one thing. I think that he has made the determination, hey, I got 2 fights on this contract. I just got to get them done. I got to get these done because I can go box Jake Paul and make $100 million. And I can box Jake Paul again and make $100 million. And I can fight Nate Diaz and make $100 million or whatever he would make for that. It probably wouldn't be 100 outside the UFC, but and maybe, Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather are both options out there. He can make, I think, $500 million outside of the confines of the UFC. Maybe more. Like if he actually wins some of these fights, and he does it, he's not just a piñata. Why would he, if he's coming back, he's not coming back to fight for a belt. He doesn't give a shit about a belt, And so he's going to come back. He's going to take 2 fights. I bet he fights again this year. That's what I bet. I bet he fights at July and he gets one in before the end of the year or maybe at the very beginning of next year so he can be done because there is business to attend to outside of the UFC. And especially now that he is seeing, oh, that's real. Like it would be real for me anyway. I am a brand that could build this. Jake Paul and Nikita, they have built a thing. This is happening right now. I want to let me go do that where I will get paid the most amount of money for my services. I think he wants out. So I think he's going to fight this. He's going to fight whoever else they give him for his last one. If they give him Tom Aspinall, he'll just be like, sure, I'll fight Tom. Let's go. so he can be done and move on.
I mean, historically, the UFC has not made that type of thing easy on fighters, especially fighters who are stars, even if they don't even really care to be in business with them. Like, look what they did with Nate Diaz. They just kept him on the shelf forever. And then they were like, you know what? Fine. You're going to go. We have no chance of signing you. We're going to feed you to Khamzat Chimaev. And then the MMA gods shone upon thee, and Khamzat decided to just not make weight and just beat Kevin Holland, and then Nate could leave on a high note by finishing Tony Ferguson. Like, it was unbelievable the way that whole thing worked out. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Like, I wonder if Conor resigned before this. Like, we don't even know that part of it yet. Like, we have no clue.
I would be really surprised if Conor resigned.
He'd be crazy if he did, unless they offered him the world.
Resigned.
Yeah, I'm with you. He shouldn't do that. Unless he is just naive, which
unless he's re-signing a contract that the UFC would never give him, right? Where it's like he can do anything he wants outside, he can box in freely. Then, like, why would he just fight twice and go box Manny Pacquiao, make $100 million?
Yeah, get out, go fight your 2 fights. But again, it will not. I just wish it was just that easy. It's just not going to be. They're going to drag this through the mud.
They try at some point. I mean, they are contractually obligated to. If they've got one, they're contractually obligated to give him another one within like 7 months or whatever it is. He should just not negotiate the last fight, but whatever. Yes is the answer. I will go fight him and be done, because it's very silly that this is the world we live in, but it is. If he wants to do the thing he wants to do, he needs to be outside the UFC to do it. And the first step of that is apparently Max Holloway, which I still don't understand, Mike.
Scale 1 to 10, because I'm seeing this all over the place. What are the chances you're giving Conor McGregor in this fight?
Oh, none.
0.
No, I mean 1%, because a bolt of lightning is like technically possible. There's no chance to win this fight. There's just what's he gonna do? Like what? I mean, so he beat Max a million years ago with a bum leg. It's honestly one of his better wins. It's before Max was good at fighting, realistically. And because he blew his knee out, he did a lot of takedowns. Well, that's not remotely a viable opportunity for him. His left hand is potent for 7 full minutes. Max Holloway has one of the greater chins in the history of the sport. It was cracked, so like maybe, but he is going to get put through a wood chipper. And the problem, like, at least with Poirier, it was sudden, like when Poirier buried him, he buried him quick. Conor had big moments, and then Poirier put him down. Max isn't going to put him down like that. Max is going to drown him with a death by 1,000, beat the shit out of you. Like, it is, like, this is going to be, which is why, like, on Conor's hand, he's just going to take fight. And it does, like, if you were removing entirely, this fight makes a lot of sense in like a traditional fight standpoint of two guys probably past their primes, huge names, big fight, super fun. All of that is true. I'm totally on board with it. Promotionally, I don't understand why the UFC wants it, but I get why everybody else would take it. All of their reasons make sense to me. I will tell you right now, whatever iteration of the climb I am on come July, Max Holloway will be part of it.
Well, let's take a look at some current betting lines. Our friends at FanDuel have Max Holloway already as a minus 520 favorite with the comeback.
He opened less and got pushed down instantaneously.
Yeah, minus 520, comeback on Conor McGregor's plus 350. A couple other sites have Holloway. There's only like 3 decent sites that are like listed that MMA bettors go to consistently and trust. All of them have Max Holloway as at least a minus 500 favorite. Some have a minus 530, some have a minus 520, but not a lot of faith in one Conor McGregor here, Jed.
There's no reason to have faith in him. Like, there's genuinely the only positive. I guess if you really want to be friendly, there are 2 positives. One, we have now seen Max get finished. So, okay, maybe this time Conor can crack his chin. I do not think that is remotely likely, but it's more likely now than it was 2 years ago, I guess. And the other is I didn't see, but this is at welterweight, right? So 170 pounds.
I would assume so. Yeah.
Yeah. Max Holloway is a big featherweight, a fine sized lightweight, not a real welterweight. Not that Conor really is a real welterweight, but he's been large for quite some time. So he's probably going to carry that size a little bit better. But yeah, man, like I said this years and years ago. So like 2016 or whatever. No, maybe not 2016, but like 2018. The peak version of Max Holloway stuffs the peak version of Conor McGregor in a locker room. We are much closer to the peak version of Max Holloway than we are the peak version of Conor, who hasn't fought in 5 years, has always been a little bit of a glass cannon. And I think he has no real shot in this fight.
It's a tough matchup for him. We'll see what happens. I mean, look, Conor McGregor making a walk to a UFC octagon, no matter how you feel about that man in the year of our Lord 2026, considering how the fan base has been reacting to the UFC this year, they need it, man. They need it pretty bad. They need something big, like real big. And like Strickland Chimaev that's modern big. That's like that's like as big as we can expect in 2026. But Conor fighting Max, like this is the biggest fight. Like once those two get in the cage, it will be the biggest fight. It'll be the biggest fight in like the last 5 years for the UFC because Conor's involved.
It's the last time Conor fought. Yeah.
Yeah. He's the biggest star in the history of the sport. So
100%.
It just is what it is. That's just the world we live in. And that's how big of a star Conor McGregor is. And you know what Conor McGregor will do? And might get a little weird. He's going to try. He's going to be a trier throughout this entire thing to try to get eyeballs on it.
I mean, he instantaneously talked shit to Max, who he's really just never talked shit to Max before, right? Like, why would you? He's gonna go full Conor on this thing, which I'm frankly having enough of full Ilia Topuria, so us getting a full Conor is going to be a lot of awful personalities for me to have to deal with, but it will be big, and that'll make it worth it.
Yes. So that is happening July 11th. Let's run down the rest of the card before we get out of here. We're about 7 minutes away from, I guess, ring walks for Ronda and Gina, which is pretty good. The co-main event is officially Benoit Saint-Denis versus Paddy Pimblett. Now, the rest of the lineup, they've made it very clear. This is not an official bout order, but it is clear as day what the main event is. And it is clear as day, according to these graphics, what the co-main event is. Benoit Saint-Denis versus Paddy Pimblett. Didn't think it'd be the co-main, but here we are. Great spot for those two guys. And we already knew that fight was happening. We already knew Corey Sandhagen, Mario Batista was happening.
Really, that's also bad booking.
What is?
Paddy versus Benoit Saint-Denis in this spot. Like, I thought you should do Paddy versus Conor because bury the old man to get James Cameron is at the MVP fights. What the shit is going on?
I mean,
also Carmen Electra is still doing quite well for herself. She's got to be like 60. Big Jim at the whatever. Sorry, was saying, oh, I thought you should do Paddy Conor. That seemed to make sense to me. But if the other idea is, all right, we're going to put Paddy as the co-main event, and people who don't really watch MMA anymore but are Conor people, they can be exposed to Paddy. I mean, that fight at least can be competitive, but I think the large likelihood is that BSD is going to big bank the shit out of Paddy Pimblett. And so you're kind of like killing him off under the biggest, viewership you will have this year or second. Probably White House will do better, but maybe not. I'm not really sure. So that feels like a weird fight to put in this situation instead of getting Paddy a walkover. But I guess if Paddy wins, it will be big and special. But that's a big gamble.
Yeah, I already have a bet on Benoit Saint-Denis. I got him at -175 like 2.5 hours
ago. I can only assume that has moved more towards BST.
So I jumped all over it. The second I saw it, I was like, ooh, sent text message. I'm like, go ahead and do that. Because we're going to take that.
Look, it's not as bad as the main event, but BSD is. I'll be a little surprised if he doesn't just boss hog the shit out of him. Really fun fight though. Just so
Yeah,
we're
I
clear.
like the fight.
I really like that fight. I think this
Yeah.
fight fun. Just feels weird promotionally.
100%. Corey Sandhagen and Mario Batista, we already knew about. We know some other fights that I'll run through the ones that we already knew about. Cody Garbrandt, Adrian Yanez, we reported that one. Damian Pinas, Cesar Almeida, we knew about. And the rest, Brandon Royval versus Lonnie Kavanaugh, great fight. This is absolutely the fight that should have been made at 125 pounds. Robert Whitaker, Nikita Krylov.
Yeah, great fight though.
Whitaker Krylov, again, one of those not a really great kept secret. But one that we had to wait for the UFC to announce before we could be like, yeah, that's happening. Luke Riley versus Kai Kamaka III on this card. That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
That will be a fun fight. Tracy Cortez versus...
All of these are fun.
Wang
all
Tong. Ode Osborne versus Cody Durden takes place on this card. But we were wondering, the mystery was solved, Jed. Who is Gable Steveson going to fight in his UFC debut? Of course, he's going to be wrestling at RAF 2 weeks from tonight. RAF will already be over. Gable will already beat Azar Romanov. But he's taking on Alicia Ellison in this matchup. And it's about what I expected. Somebody of that ilk who's just going to go in there and do his job. And his job on July 11th, 2026 at T-Mobile Arena is to get run the F over by Gable Steveson. And I feel like he'll do that job quite well.
Seems pretty likely. Will he do it as well as Felipe Lins did? Who can say? But probably, yes. So, but I think that's great matchmaking. I still think Gable Steveson, he's obviously a tremendous prospect, but I would be hesitant to rush him too quickly. It might work out. It also might not. And there is no reason to shoot him up the ladder. Let's let him sharpen his teeth and figure out how to wrestle a little bit or how to fight a little bit before we go all the way in.
Oh yeah, this is exactly what they should have been doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's him. Then you give him Max Jimenez next after Max probably loses his next fight, and on we go. We just feed him the lowest ranked dude at the time, and if he had already fought the lowest ranked dude, then you give him the next lowest ranked guy, and you do that 5 times. You're in no rush with Gable. You're truly in no rush. Anytime you're ready to strap the rockets to that man, you can. You can break that glass in case of emergency and strap him right on it, and he's good to go.
We're about to go, baby.
We are about to go. So before we go, Jed, with what we have on paper with these 11 fights, rate the lineup as of right now.
2 stars. I mean, you can give it 3 just because Conor McGregor is such an event, but the overall quality of the fights is quite good. Again, the main event is a murder, so whatever. But the rest of the fights are quite good, even if it's a Conor McGregor fight card, so you're going to lack name value. You got a few. I'm not saying you got none, right? But you don't have to stack this up with multiple title fights when you've got a Conor McGregor fight. That is its own reward. So, 2 stars. 3 if you were a real big Conor McGregor fan, because might be one of the last times you get to see him.
Yeah, I think it's a good score. Johnny, yes, it is welterweight. It will be a welterweight fight. It is officially a welterweight fight. So
thanks, Johnny.
Appreciate you. And I know probably a lot of you have other questions and comments. And look, we'd love to get to all of them, but we can't right now. We will later.
We will, just not right now.
We just can't right this second. But something tells me, my friends, we're not going to be gone for very long, because I don't think this fight is going to last very long between Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano. I don't think we're going to get to minute 2, if we're being honest. It will react to...
I'll take the over on minute 2. I think it's into the first round. I'm going to stick with that. But let's go. They're about to walk.
Okay. We'll talk MVP MMA. We'll briefly talk UFC Vegas 117, which, again, not dogging on the card.
Questions? If you have questions, we'll talk.
If you want to talk UFC Vegas 117... bring that Dunkin' Iced coffee money, you know what I'm saying? Because I have a feeling all the headlines are going to be on the MVP card. But we'll talk soon, probably in the next 30 to 45 minutes at the latest. And if you're on the Pod Network, just go back to the Go to Show thing and download the post show as well. For Jed, I am Mike. You guys rock. And we'll see you very, very soon.
Love y'all.
It's the Mixed Martial Arts Hour with
I can't recall a non-UFC fighter getting this much attention as far as requests to be on this show. We finally obliged in our sort of international feel this week. We go to Ireland now, and we welcome in Conor McGregor. There he is, the bearded one himself.
How are you?
Conor, how are you? Thank you
What's
so
up,
much
mate?
for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me, mate. Yeah, Connor you.
How
are you?
I'm doing great. I hear a bit of an echo. Can you maybe turn down the volume on your computer?
Yeah.
Now, can
How
you
about now?
Can you still hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't use this Skype. I only set this Skype up so I could get on this show with you. I don't really use this too much. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna have to start getting used to these kind of things.
Well, you look great, and you sound great, and I appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah, that's good, man. I like to look the way I feel, and I feel fucking amazing.
Really? Why so amazing?
Because I'm living the dream. You know what I mean? Here I am. I'm just over 5 weeks out from the biggest fight in my life, and things are going good, and I'm getting great support at home. As you know yourself, you're at the saying yourself. Everyone's hounding you to get me on this show, and the Irish really get behind their athletes. You know what I mean? And I'm looking to go out there and impress, and that's it. That's why I'm feeling good. You know, all the years of hard work, and now here we are.
Dana White was in Ireland recently, and he was hounded about you. They were asking him all these questions. I'm not lying. Every week I get tons of fans saying, "Get the Notorious MMA on the show." Your Twitter handle, of course. They love you so much. Are you aware that you are beloved so much by your fans, and especially Ireland?
It's grown each fight. Each fight it seems to get more and more. You know, but it's only the beginning. You know what I mean? That's what I think. This is only the beginning. I'm here to take over. I'm not here to shake no one's hand, or I'm not here to be the token Irish guy in there. I'm in there to get in and win, and that's it. You know, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to showing the people of Ireland the true martial artists. You know what I mean? And showing the UFC and the world of MMA and martial artists that they haven't seen before. You know.
Do they love you because you're the first, or do they love you because you're you?
Well, I'm not the first. You know, I don't know. They love me because I don't know. They love me because I love myself. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I'm not the first guy either. You should know this. You know what I mean? You're the reporter.
Whoa.
You know, Tom Egan was the first UFC 93.
All right.
He was my teammate. We were only kids back then. He got a shot to fight, and it was a little bit too soon for him. You know what I mean? We didn't really know what we were doing back then, and then we have another Irish guy, but he likes to carry the English flag. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Maybe because there's an Irish guy in there carrying an English flag. Nowadays we have an Irish guy carrying an Irish flag, the tricolour. You know what I mean? That's why there's a big buzz going on, you know?
And I apologize to Tom. You are right. I will admit, though, not as much buzz for his fight as opposed to your debut. So that's why it felt like the first 93 feels like years ago. You get my point, right?
Yeah. Well, Tom was on the card basically because they were in the hometown, you know, and they were looking for a hometown guy to promote the show, you know. But I've built up a hype around myself with some good wins and some good performances, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not just the token Irish guy. I'm not on this show because I'm not here because they're in Dublin. I'm like you say, I'm fighting in Sweden. You know what I mean? So, they want me, and I don't want them, so to speak. You know what I mean? So there's a good bit of hype, and I'm looking forward to going in and proving everyone right.
Why do they call you Notorious?
My coach came up with that. You know what I mean? Because I'm sometimes I'm known to get into a little bit of trouble, and I don't know, just because I'm notorious.
Where do you get into this trouble?
Just over the years, you know what I mean? So growing up in that, I've been in and out of trouble, and I've been with my coach John Kavanagh for a long time, and there's been some ups and some downs, and you know what I mean, with this and that, but you know, he stuck with me and he believed in me, and that's basically where the name came from, you know. So just getting into trouble and drifting off and doing other things, and then coming back, and you know, but the past couple of years now, I've stuck with it now, and now here I am, you know what I mean? So I don't know, that's where the name came from anyway.
Why'd you get into MMA?
When I was younger, it was always combat. It was always combat on my mind. You know what I mean? It was always self-defense. I got in there to be able to defend myself, just like situations that would happen. You know what I mean? Where something would happen, where, you know what I mean, just out on the street or whatever, and I just wanted to be able to defend myself, and that was it. And that's how I started. I wanted to be able to defend myself on the street, and I started doing some kickboxing. So I done some boxing, and I just travel around, you know what I mean? Try and do all martial arts, you know, ready for anything, you know what I mean? Stay ready so I don't have to get ready.
You know, it seems like the Irish fans have been begging for the UFC to return to Ireland since the first and last event at UFC 93. Were you there?
I was there, yeah. My teammate Tom was fighting, you know what I mean? So I was there. If they got an event in the O2, it would sell out. No, it would sell out in seconds. What did your man say about the last time? Your man Gary Cook, because I couldn't hear.
Oh,
but I heard you saying Ireland.
Well,
what did he say?
He said he predicts they will be back there within the next 18 months.
Wow, I was thinking sooner than that. Well, I wonder will they think that when I go in and when I go in and put on a show now in 5 weeks and make a name for myself, you know what I mean? I'm hoping to drag them back to Ireland, you know what I mean? Drag them by the scruff of the neck back and get a show on. Because I have some teammates in the gym that are ready to go as well, you know what I mean? It's not just me. There's a whole load of motherfuckers behind me waiting to go, and I'm going to kick in the door. And you know what I mean? That's it. I'm just going to kick in the door and drag them right back to Ireland.
Well, I'm sure a dominant performance.
Like, as soon as this fight's done, I'm going to be on, like George St. Pierre, going on his knees and start begging for a world title. I'm going to go on my knees and start begging for come back to the O2, come back to Dublin, Ireland. And, well, to be honest, I'm not going to get on my knees. I don't beg for no man, but I'm definitely going to be saying it a lot. You know what I mean? I definitely want them to come back to my hometown. And there's so many, you know, we have a long history of combat in our country. You know what I mean? A lot of people are true fans of this game. You know what I mean? So it's about time we start coming back and get the fucking act together and come back. You know what I mean? I mean, Dana even says it himself that he gets hounded. Well, if he doesn't want to get hounded, then let's do it. Let's do a show. You know what I mean?
I think they may erect a statue in your honor right now because of this talk. And if you get them to come back sooner than 18 months, you're going to be an Irish legend, my friend.
Yeah, I am an Irish legend,
That's true.
man. I'm a living legend. Yeah, I see myself as the champ already.
Already? You're the featherweight champion already?
Of course. I see myself as the champ from day one. Before I even started training, I always saw myself as the champ. That's how I see myself. I visualize myself already there. I visualize everything. I visualize this conversation. I visualize the walkout. I visualize everything going on. I know I have shots picked out that I'm going to throw in this fight in 5 weeks. You know what I mean? I've seen everything in my head, and now it's going to happen. You see it in your head, you're going to see it before your eyes. That's what I say.
Could you fight